They've canned the cricket season, but they cannot can episode 38 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as Hamish said there, welcome to episode 38 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast. We're going to try something a little bit different today. Now, in the spirit of isolation, we've all decided that we don't want to see each other anymore. So we're recording this from our living rooms, and you should be able to hear the dulcet tones of Stuart A. Lee. Stuart, how are you today?
I'm well, Charlie. I'm nice and relaxed, lying on my own couch. I think you should do this more often.
I think it's a great way to start the show, personally. I think you're right. We're onto something. Hamish, how the devil are you?
I'm not too bad. Throat's good. So I think I'm clear at the moment. I'm a bit worried I might fall asleep because I'm lying in bed doing this. That's all I'll say.
Oh dear. Wow. We won't ask anything else.
Probably best not to. And over there, usually in the corner, but I understand he's there with a case of Corona, or at least a bottle.
I do have a bottle. I do have a bottle of Corona.
As long as it's the alcoholic variety, we're okay.
It is.
Yeah. Is that for real?
Nick here. I actually do have Corona. I don't know whether or not it's a side effect of what's going on in the world right now, but it was on sale at Liquorland, so you might want to
of course it's on sale. No one
swing by and pick yourself up a deal.
None of the dumb people want to buy it.
No.
I am genuinely enjoying a Corona Extra at the moment.
Well, Liquorland, if they could stock toilet paper as well, that'd be fantastic. As ever, you can get hold of us in the usual places. We're on Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre. We're on Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports, and we're on Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport. Use that hashtag KSC Podcast, kscpodcast.com. Now, YouTube, well, there might not be much to see there this episode, but you'll at least hear us. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, kscpodcast.com. Nick, have I missed anything?
Just that if you are using another podcast platform that doesn't have us listed and you want to add us using our RSS feed, the RSS feed link is in the YouTube description of every video that we put up. Which, by the way, today, because we, based on our topic, I'm going to try and get some relevant photos put up in the video so that if you are listening to us on YouTube and you'd like to have something to look at, and maybe I'll have some relevant images for our discussion today.
That's it. I'm going to line up my collection of cricket bats, take a photo, so you can all see on the YouTube video.
Beautiful.
Maybe. Well, I've got one anyway. Well, look, it seems that the rest of the sporting world is being cancelled and told to stay home and not get together. We didn't want to deprive our listeners of us, so we've decided to carry on almost as normal. We're going to give you a show. Today's topic, we're going to go with the greatest cricket bats of all time. Now, Nick, you put something on Facebook earlier on. Do you want to talk us through that?
I did. I put a post up the other day because everyone likes to talk about cricket bats. Every big cricket fan has their favorite bats, used by their favorite players. And I thought it made for a really great discussion point to get all of our followers to chime in with some of the favorite cricket bats from their lifetime. Maybe it was the weapon of a legendary player or something. The first cricket bat your dad ever bought you, or one that served you really well. You scored a lot of runs with. We got some awesome comments with a bunch of throwbacks. A lot of people posted pictures of their bat. So, man, I thought with cricket being canceled, which I guess we'll talk about a little bit, that it might leave us with an absence of cricket to talk about. So why not talk about some cricket bats?
Yeah. I tell you what, it was a great post because I'm just looking at it now. 183 comments it inspired.
Well, as of right now, it looks to me like there's 330.
There's more. Yeah, I'm looking at. At least on Facebook, I'm looking at 339.
What's going on with my Facebook? It's still living in the past.
You're a week behind.
One of the likes is from Slazenger 80s. That just goes to show our reach. Now, we're not all the same age, but we're not too dissimilar. Stu, Hamish, did you have a particular brand that you went to, and why? Was it because of your favourite players, or did you just think, oh, this really pings?
Oh, look, to be truthful, I have a long history in Kingsgrove Sports Centre as the son of Harry Solomons, the boss man. So Harry was obviously the main man, I guess, in Australia for Symonds cricket bats. A lot of people in Australia called it Symonds. I'm looking at a picture on that post now of an old Symonds cricket bat. So that was kind of my first go-to. I must admit, my first ever bat was a St. Peter's. Good old brand. Yeah, SP.
What's the story on St. Peter's brand?
Well, it's funny you should say that because a guy I used to play with in Devon actually bought out the naming rights for St. Peter and re-established it in sort of around 2008, 2009. And my current bat
do you remember that?
A St. Peter.
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up using Symonds for a long time. I even named one of their bats actually the Super Grain range for
Super Grain.
I made a bat in the backyard and called it the Super Grain and got a texture out and drew lines very close together on the bat, and they loved the name, and they brought out the range the next season. I got paid $5 a bat royalties.
Oh, I like
wow.
Look at that.
But I think the story of my my last bat, which I've now had for probably 15 years, was a Slazenger. What was it, Stewie?
I think it's a V8. Is it V8 or a V12 or something? Or V1200?
No, it was like a V1200. Yeah, I think you're right there.
Yeah.
Is that the one that had the toe scooped out? I had a V1200 and the toe was really thin.
That was a V12.
Yeah, V12. Not Hamish's version. Hamish's version
bat,
is a special bat.
Yeah, my bat, a very, very special bat. It might not have even been available in Australia because it actually was a bat that Alex Stewart back in the day knocked back. And Scott Thompson, former New South Wales player who worked for Slazenger at the time, brought it to a St. George cricket training session at Kingsgrove, and he got a Yorker and it broke first hit. And he basically gave it to me and said, do whatever you want with that. And about 3 years later, the bat I was using, Kookaburra Ridgeback, broke and I had nothing to use. So I went and grabbed it and all of a sudden started hitting the ball a lot further than what I had been pretty much all my life. A few years later, after using it for a couple of years, I decided to weigh it. It was like 4 ounces heavier than what I'd been using pretty much all my life. So that's why I was starting to hit them a little bit better.
Right.
And I've had that bat since repaired at Kingsgrove probably 8 or 9 times. It's held together by tape, but it still goes well. And now it's got Kingsport stickers on it.
I've just done a quick Google image search and I found the V12. It was definitely a V1200 that I had, but it definitely had a thinner toe, and I think I had the same issue in that a Yorker broke it.
If it's easy for you, Charlie, on your computer there, send any images you find relevant to the discussion as we go through the Discord, and I'll use those as reference.
Yeah, we'll do.
I'll send a picture of this bat because it was
It's a weapon.
It picked up so beautiful.
Yeah.
For a bat that was actually quite heavy. It was a 2 pound 12 bat, but it felt like 2 pound 8 or 9. And that's
right.
That's the key to a good bat.
So that was a big deal for you then. Like moving up to a bat that was a little bit more weight was like a sudden change for you.
Absolutely. And I was at that age anyway, getting to the end of my grade playing days where I wasn't playing too many pull shots or anything like that. The reflexes had obviously slowed down. So I was just sort of playing straighter shots and getting good value. So the bat served me well. Forever will be my favourite bat of all time, I believe.
What about you,
Stu?
Stu?
Well, I mean, my favourite bat is that scores me some runs. That's always the key. I mean, growing up, so my first bat was actually a hand-me-down from my older brother. So it was his first bat. It was luckily, though, the bat of my favourite cricket player at the time. So it was a county legend.
Oh, wow.
Kashmir Willow with Dean Jones' signature on it. So after my brother had finished with it and graduated onto
an English willow bat.
an English willow bat, yeah. Cricketing career, yeah. I used the County Legend, so that was good. I had a few counties over the journey, a couple of Duncan Fearnleys as well, before graduating into the range of Kingsports. So I've had a few Kingsports, and they've been.
Oh, geez, you have a bat every
doing the job,
week, mate. Jeez.
No, not quite. No,
I reckon there'd be a lot of people in Australia that would want your job.
I just go. Well, no, I tend to. I get a bit like you, Hamish. I just use the broken ones. I don't worry about getting a new one. I just use the broken one and just sit and they go all right. So, I've been. I think all of my bats for the past 5 or 6 seasons have all been broken in some way or another, but they keep going. They keep working. So,
if I had $1 for every bloke that saw my taped up cricket bat and said, "Doesn't your dad own a cricket shop?"
Yeah.
Great observation.
Yeah,
man. Some of these, while we're talking about cricket brands of cricket bats that you guys historically loved, we had so much good feedback on this post. People sharing these pictures and pictures of old advertisements and stuff. These old cricket bats. A gentleman named Rod shared a photo of an ad for a county Supercat Legend for the cat.
Yes, Clive Lloyd. Yeah, I saw that. That was actually, that's a great name for a bat too. Well, that was his nickname. The cat was his nickname.
Yep, Supercat.
The Supercat.
And he had about 8 grips on his bat. He was one of the first guys that was notorious for. Obviously, had huge hands, and you know what they say about. You know what they say about people with huge hands.
They need big gloves.
Huge gloves, right?
That's funny, man. I was responding to some people sharing these photos, and he commented he doesn't remember getting many runs, but it was a nice looking bat. And I responded, or did you just get so many runs that you can't even remember them all? His answer was just no. He just said no.
No.
It's great.
What about you?
To be honest, I used to have this habit when I was growing up of breaking a bat every year. So I'd buy a new one every year. So I had a couple of, I think my first ever one was a Gray-Nicolls Powerspot because I thought Mike Atherton was fantastic. Then I realised that I don't bat anything like him and that I actually like to score runs quickly. So I think I had a couple of Kookaburras. I had that V1200 that we were just speaking about a minute ago. I stole my dad's Stuart Surridge at one point and got 60 against a school team and hit a ball onto a steam train, which was interesting. And then I just became a massive Flintoff fan and unashamedly starting using nothing but Woodworm. Oh, Gun and More, beg your pardon. I had a couple of Gun and More bats first, and then I just went to Woodworm.
Just went to Woodworm, so you tried to keep the company afloat, but even you couldn't.
I tried, but when they went down the drain, that's when I went over to the aforementioned St. Peter. That a teammate of mine called Lance Ames, he bought out the naming rights to it and opened a factory in a place called Exmouth in Devon. Started making bats, gloves, pads, etc. Well, he didn't make the gloves and pads, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he did a roaring trade for a couple of years there, and then I'm not quite sure what happened after I moved to Australia. He sort of went off the map a little bit, I think. I thought I saw someone down in Melbourne had resurrected it again. But yeah, it was every time someone saw that bat of mine with SP written on it, they'd say, "Oh, is that the one that Tony Greig used to use?"
Yeah.
And I'd say, "Well, not this one, but yeah."
You didn't have the old Tony Greig gloves too, did you?
No. I didn't have the motorbike helmet either.
What about the motorbike helmet of the big SP on it during the World Series? You have to find that picture.
It served two functions, didn't it? I mean, you could ride to the game, wear it while batting, and then ride it home again.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the first ever appearance of a cricket helmet, was it? Or someone had a skull cap.
Do you know what?
Gavaskar used to wear the skull cap, but I reckon
this is
motorbike helmet might have been first.
This is 100% true. I read this somewhere that the reason Tony Greig stopped wearing it is because he got run out a couple of times because he couldn't hear his partner's call.
Yeah.
Would not be surprised.
No, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Man.
No.
I'll find that image for you in a second.
And what about this now, Nick? You've been privy to the game of cricket for a couple of years.
I have.
What's grabbed your attention, mate? Obviously, the Kingsport bats, which you've designed the stickers for, you'd obviously have a special place in your heart for. But looking at the poster or the museum at Kingsgrove, is there something that sort of grabbed your eye over the years?
Certainly, and you're right with Kingsport. Kingsport's got such a nice history, and I do feel very privileged to have been involved in redesigning those labels and stuff for the past few years. As far as classic bats go, I think that I don't know how you'd say it properly if it's Symonds or Symonds, but those bats are just so cool to me. When you like the vintage designs, the Rhino logo, the red, white, and blue color scheme. That there's something. I don't know, man. There's something about nostalgia from those time periods where there's sort of trends in graphic design and trends in printing and whatnot. And to me, those just look so cool, man.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. There'd be a lot of people in my age bracket would be just getting a lot of fond memories just listening to discussion about Symonds Cricket Bats and that special Rhino. And there was a stage where, I think in the New South Wales team at one stage there might have been 7 or 8 players in the team who were contracted by Harry.
Good work, Harry.
Playing for or, sponsoring and representing the Symonds brand.
Yeah, and unfortunately, not having grown up with cricket as far as like a player or watching people on TV play, I don't have nostalgia for any particular shape, or can even have like a reference for this player did so and so. This had a huge innings or something with a classic bat. But so for me, it's more of like a design and aesthetic standpoint, and I think that we've got so many of them at the museum at Kingsgrove.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll go looking for inspiration for Kingsport labels, and I'll just cruise through the museum and look at some of these awesome bats of old.
Well, to be honest, that's sort of why I went towards Woodworm, is that not only were my heroes in Andrew Flintoff and to a certain extent Kevin Peterson using them, but I thought they looked amazing. And can I just go back as well and say, I do, of course, have some Kingsport bats too, and I re-stickered my SP as a Kingsport. So, yes, I've had Kingsport bats as well, and they're fantastic.
What labels have you got on it now?
Noble Willow.
Noble Willow, right? Sweet.
Actually, I've got one in the Deadly as well, but the Noble Willows are the ones that I've used.
Yeah, right. We've been working on the ones for next season, and I'm pretty excited about to unveil those to everyone.
Yes, they're looking good.
That was my second foray into bat naming, was the Kingsport Epic.
Kingsport Epic.
Yes.
And as you might know or understand, Nick, the inspiration came from, of course, Faith No More.
Yeah, we've discussed it before. We have discussed it before.
Well, I think
you're probably the biggest Faith No More fan I know, really.
I love him. I'm about to be shattered, I think, because I'm pretty sure Faith No More are about to tour.
Yeah, they're probably going to cancel the tour.
They'll have to cancel all.
Dear.
Remind me, we'll have to chat later about Mike Patton and some of his side projects.
Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, man.
In the interest of new projects and new designs and new naming conventions, given that 2020 is going to be dominated by coronavirus. Hang on,
maybe we should bring one out.
Thinking, the Kingsport Corona. No, that's not going to sell. What's another word for a Corona? It's like a halo, isn't it? The Kingsport Halo. How's that?
Ooh.
All right.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Well, doesn't it come from the word crown? Isn't that where Corona?
Don't ruin the moment. But yeah, sure.
Halo's good. Well, I mean, crown and a halo those are related.
Similar. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, some of these bats, I'm just going through some pictures now, and obviously some
Kingsport Halo does have a nice ring to it.
Doesn't it?
Well, maybe we started something. Something to do in isolation.
I feel like Halo's just been used recently for something or another.
Oh, it's a Beyonce song, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. It's also a video game, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Video game. That's probably where you're getting it from, Hamish.
No.
Yeah. You ruined it. Speaking of iconic bats and iconic bat designs, Kookaburra has just released some images of the Ridgeback, which is it's back. The Ridgeback is back.
And there was a lot of comments on our post too about that.
Of the Ridgeback, which is making a comeback. And
weren't you guys doing some stickering the other day? Or?
We were, yeah. So obviously we're lucky enough that obviously we will be selling the Ridgeback at Kingsgrove, and they're hopefully due in very soon. But in the now cancelled Chapel Hadley series, all of the Kookaburra sponsored players were using the Ridgeback. So Lachie from Kookaburra in Melbourne, their head batmaker, flew up and grabbed all their bats and was in at Kingsgrove with Dave at the back, stickering up all their bats, putting the new Ridgeback labels on it, and fantastic.
The birthday
great.
boy.
Yeah,
I took
they
some
really do
photos of
look
them
good.
putting stickers on the bat and was pretty much instantly flooded with messages like, "How can I get these? How can I get these stickers?"
Yeah. So, well,
When would
Sorry.
stay tuned. They're coming. Bats are coming. The bats are coming in soon. So hopefully we'll have them. Hopefully we'll have them this week.
Yeah.
And featured in those photos, of course, bat repair extraordinaire, Dave Jiffkins. Happy birthday for earlier this week as well to him.
Of course, yes.
Let's not forget that.
No.
Right.
It does look pretty cool. It reminds me of I actually had a Ridgeback when I was 15. I think there's video evidence of me actually letting go of it mid-shot, which didn't please the owner either.
You're not
Well, that's
supposed
something I'm not
You're not supposed to
up
do
on.
that.
They've released the Ridgeback. They've got a 2020 in the label design. It's obviously like a new throwback model. But what was the time period for the original Ridgeback?
So
Late
Dean Jones used it. So
I'm going to say early to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
I had mine
Yep.
late 90s.
Yeah. So Ricky Ponting used it as well. So
Yeah.
late 90s. Yeah.
I reckon earlier.
One of Kookaburra's most famous bats.
Yeah,
100%.
right.
100%.
You guys
One of the most
mentioned it.
popular.
You guys mentioned it once before. We also got a lot of comments about Duncan Fearnley bats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duncan Fearnley.
They were probably the two most iconic bats when I was growing up was the Duncan Fearnley Magnum and the SS Jumbo. And just prior to that was, of course, the Gray-Nicolls Scoop.
Gray-Nicolls Scoop.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which is now coming up to 50 years old.
Do you have any stories about any of those models or players that use them? Or?
Just Ian both and just whacking Australia about with that Duncan Fearnley.
Viv Richards used Duncan.
He used, I think he used both, didn't he? Didn't he use the SS Jumbo?
Yeah, he used the Jumbo too. Yep.
Yeah, speaking
whatever he used.
A gentleman named Tony
both.
commented on our post with a picture of his SS Jumbo actually autographed by Viv at Kingsgrove a number of years ago.
Yeah,
and
that was quite a revolutionary, I guess you would say, design, wasn't it? With the amount of Willow distributed to the middle area of the bat, it was very iconic.
Mm.
Yeah,
would it hold up to standards today, or would it be?
Yeah, well, they did bring it. They did bring it back out. There was like a retro range a few years ago, about 5 seasons ago, wasn't there, Stewie?
I think so. Yeah, I would say it'd be. Well, like today's bats, it'd probably be pretty similar. Well, the edges probably wouldn't be as big.
No, maybe the balance wouldn't be as good as well.
Balance may not be as good, but yeah. So yeah, SS Jumbo was iconic. I think Graham Gooch used them as well for a time, or for a lot of his career. Graham Gooch used it.
Yeah, he had his own one, 333, wasn't it?
333 after 3 scoring the triple century against India. Yeah. But I mean, Duncan Fearnley in Australia, you already had obviously had AB. Alan Border, used Duncan Fearnley.
There was the AB 10,000.
AB 10,000. That was when he got the 10,000 run. That was my older brother's favourite bat. He had one of those.
We're talking Duncan Fearnley. You've mentioned such iconic names as Viv Richards, Ian Botham, Alan Border. Let us not forget Darren Goff.
I'd forgotten.
I had forgotten. Yeah, that was unfortunately that might have been the latter stages of Duncan Fearnley's existence.
Yes,
sadly.
Yeah.
He had a big ticker, Goffy, though, didn't he?
He did.
He did. He had the nickname Rhino, and I was reading in one of Flintoff's books that when Flintoff made his debut, he asked, or around that time, he said to Darren Goff, "Why do they call you Rhino?" And he said, "Because I'm as strong as an ox."
Love it.
Fantastic.
Not the sharpest, but still.
Just quietly, though, we could talk about vintage bats forever, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
But we've probably talked long enough. So, what are we going to move on to, Charlie?
Should we? We haven't really mentioned probably the most iconic bat, which is the Gray-Nicolls Scoop.
Oh, I mentioned it.
Yeah, I mentioned it in passing, but let's talk more about it.
You briefly mentioned it in passing, but it's probably one of the most revolutionary designs of all time.
So
it doesn't make any sense when you think about it, though.
Not really. I'm going to take all the meat out of the middle of it. all the middle end of a cricket bat.
It made a
It
comeback
was-
a couple of years ago, and to hark back to Woodworm, it's probably inspiration for them taking wood away from the edges instead of the meat of the bat. So yeah, definitely iconic, and definitely revolutionary.
I'm not sure Woodworm's design wasn't that revolutionary. Just took a little bit of weight out of the top of the shoulder.
To be truthful, if you were a kid growing up in the late 70s and 80s, and you didn't have a Gray-Nicolls scoop, you were open to bullying.
Who were you? Were you even
a target?
Are you even a cricketer?
Ridicule.
But was it? Can you look back on it now and say that the scoop, as iconic as it was it more than a gimmick? Did it improve performance? I mean, I'm sure it improved pickup.
I think for a lot of people, I think it worked.
I think it worked.
I think they felt like, I've got a nice light bat, and I don't know. I can't really understand how it made a cricket bat better by taking a good portion of the wood away from where you're trying to hit the ball. But I tell you what, and it was a great look.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. It's just so iconic. It's unbelievable, and it's what it'd have to be up to 45 years of age now.
I reckon it'd be close, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I remember a few years back it had its 40th birthday.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
and I think the other aspect of it is just the biggest and the best players in the world at the time, and Gray-Nicolls was probably the most popular brand at that time. So they probably had best access to get players to use that bat, used it. So whoever was your favourite player was invariably using that bat at the time, like the Chappells and whatnot. So
Chappells using it, yeah.
Given how old they are then, and what do you think would be more valuable these days, a Gray-Nicolls scoop or a roll of toilet paper?
Toilet paper. Toilet paper would be.
The toilet paper is definitely in higher demand
in these uncertain times. It would be the toilet paper.
Yeah, but let's face it. If you need 144 rolls of toilet paper for a 14-day quarantine period, you probably should have seen a doctor long before.
True.
I reckon if you need that much toilet paper, you were probably batting against the West Indies from the the
70s and 80s. Yeah, that's right.
Or can you face Courtney Walsh?
I have faced Courtney Walsh. Or you're on a tour of India.
Yes. Wow. And you forgot to pack the baked beans.
And you forgot to pack all his baked beans. Yes, I have faced Courtney. Yes, I have.
There have been a lot of posts. There were a lot of comments on our post about the Gray-Nicolls scoop, but I'm also seeing comments about the Gray-Nicolls twin scoop and even the Gray-Nicolls quad scoop.
Quad scoop, yeah.
The butterfly.
They were bringing out all sorts of scoops by the end of it.
Yeah.
Right.
They went scoop crazy.
Scoop crazy.
I think David
Hook's Hurricane.
Yeah, David Hook started using, and he became the flavour of the month, especially when he hit those 5 fours in or 6. Was it 6 fours in the over or 5 fours in the over against Tony Greig in the Centenary Test? Yep. He became all the rage, and that bat then took over and became the most popular bat. And they were just taking wood all over the place. They were just taking scoops all over the place.
I don't want to pass over it either, but going the opposite direction of putting a lot of wood in the back of the bat. When I first started working at Kingsgrove and we started doing product review videos, one of the first videos I remember shooting with you guys was on the Gray-Nicolls XP80 2000.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The tree trunk.
That was when bats were just getting slightly ridiculous.
Yeah, it seemed like the Wild West. It was like all bets are off.
I think they stopped making that when one bloke went to try and hit a 6 and got a hernia. And tried to sue Gray-Nicolls.
Well, actually, speaking of hernia, most popular bats at the moment is the Gray-Nicolls Giant.
It's very popular.
Which is
that's a throwback.
Which is the proverbial railway sleeper. 3 pound, and people are loving them. Absolutely loving them.
Is that a throwback model? Is the Giant?
Yeah, Giants. They've been around for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there was a Symonds version of that called the Gigantic.
Right.
The Symonds Gigantic.
Right.
Avoid that copyright issue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kookaburra bring out. They had a Big Bird, I think.
Big Bird.
At one stage,
sounds like also a copyright issue.
Possibly.
The County Chunky.
County Chunky.
The Merv Hughes Slogger. The County Merv Hughes Slogger. What
With
about
the picture,
that one?
you even got a little picture of Merv on the face. That was
exactly.
Yeah.
See, suddenly Halo doesn't seem quite so ridiculous a name now, does it?
No.
I like the
No.
little chat about though all the different names that companies have come up with for their meaty bat, their big Mondy, you know.
Yeah.
Big Mondy. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
SS Smasher.
Smasher.
SS Smasher.
Yeah, SS Smasher.
Gotta name one after what's his face. We talked about the big guy Leverock. We talked about the big guy.
Oh,
Fearnley.
Dwayne.
That'd be great.
Didn't Shai DeFridi have one named after him as well?
Boom,
Back
boom,
in-
boom.
oh,
Boom, boom.
Boom Boom. That was it.
He had a whole company. He had a whole company named after him. Yeah, Boom Boom. Boom Boom Cricket Bats. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Boom Boom Afridi.
Yeah. Boom Boom. Yeah.
Excellent.
Hilarious.
Well, do we have any other ones that we want to discuss before we talk?
I would be curious to know. I would love to know if anybody listens when people listen to this podcast and we talk about all these classic bats, which ones we get yelled at for not covering, for forgetting.
Well, if we've forgotten one, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
sure there's going to be people
None of the ones
commenting.
I've forgotten of spelling.
I'd tell you another topic for another time. Forgotten cricket brands.
Oh wow.
Cricket brands gone by.
Yes, cricket bands.
Such as the St. Peters or whatnot. North Star or
North Star.
Mitre.
Yeah, Mitre used to make cricket bats. Yeah.
Mitre like the hardware store?
like the
No,
football.
Mitre like the football boots.
Oh, right. Yep.
They had a situation going on back in, I think, the late 70s. I remember the early days of Kingsgrove Sports Centre. If you scored 100 with one of their bats, you got a bat for free.
I think didn't Harry tell that story on the podcast?
Yeah, Harry. Yes, I think Harry did tell that story.
100%. Yeah, Harry then decided, I'll use that bat. And he got a ton and got himself another bat. Smart man, that Harry Solomon's bloke.
He scored 98 with his Symonds and just switched out at the end for the last two runs.
Yeah, for the 2 runs. Yeah, got 100 with Mitre.
Yeah, exactly.
Clever.
I think I remember seeing one that said Hero Honda and actually had the car manufacturer on it as well.
Yeah, they still do. They're still.
Went crazy with
the Hero bats in India. Are still they're the same. They're Hero Honda.
Was there like a Wills?
Yeah, Willis. Yeah, they were the Pakistan. Everybody came out with a Wills or Willis. Yeah, that was a tobacco company.
And then you have the big shoe brands that give it a crack for a few years. Nike, and
Reebok's had a crack. Nike's had a crack.
Reebok. I don't think I'd seen it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to find a picture of a Reebok cricket bat.
Yeah,
that wasn't too long ago.
Not too long ago. MS Dhoni started with a Reebok, I'm sure.
Sure enough. You know what? I've seen pictures of a Reebok bat before now that I'm looking at them again.
Yeah.
Is
that a Reebok?
Who made the famous aluminium bat that Lily used?
I'm not sure.
I think it was called the Combat.
Yeah, there's one in the museum at Kingsgrove.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was called the Combat. I don't think it was made by a particular bat brand.
Which you guys all say aluminium, but there's an aluminum cricket
Aluminum
cricket bat in the museum?
Yeah, it got banned. It got used in a game by Dennis Lilly, and they reckon it was putting the ball out of shape, so he flung the bat, had the craps, and walked off.
For the
I think that bat actually...
Hollow, huh?
That bat went down like a aluminium... How do you say it?
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
I don't know where you guys get that extra letter from.
Aluminium.
That's how it's spelled. Aluminium.
So you actually, they actually in UK and Australia, they actually spell it differently. It's got an extra letter.
Yeah, it's got the I before the U.
Different. Yeah,
we spell it correctly.
Okay, that's another picture for that you'll have to just take the walk to Harry's museum, and there you'll find it.
I will have to go find it.
I think there are only a few made, to be truthful, about 50 or something to that effect.
It would have been that many. No.
It wasn't a big seller.
No.
Particularly after it got banned.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably worth a lot of money.
Didn't do great for sales.
I think he only used it for like 2 deliveries, and then they said, "Nah, not having that."
Nah, you don't do that. What is that? What is that sound? That is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Cricket.
Oh yeah, man, I would love to hear it.
Oh yeah. I just sent Nick a link to the video. I think
I'll have to watch it afterward. I'll have to watch it later.
Yeah, it's not in there.
Yeah,
I tell you what, we got to maybe just allow ourselves to pull it out of the museum and just give it a couple of hits in the academy.
I want to be there
and get that on film. That could go viral.
Yeah, could also go horrible. It could go horribly wrong as well. But yeah. You might have to check with Harry on that one.
We're trying to keep as many things from going viral as possible at the moment.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, just make sure no one's around when you're filming.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, stand a meter and a half apart.
If an aluminum bat makes a sound and there's no, if it gets pinged and there's no one around to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
Doesn't make a sound.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
question. Philosophical. Good
What's the
question.
sound of one hand clapping? Anyway, beautiful segue there, Nick, about things not going viral. Obviously, the world has gone crazy with coronavirus at the moment. However, that has led to drastic measures across the sporting world. The Premier League has been postponed till at least April the 3rd as things stand. There's talks over whether they'll cancel the whole season and
can't cancel it. You cannot cancel it. You cannot just give the trophy to Liverpool now, please.
Which while you're talking about that, what was the take on when cricket was cancelled? And New South Wales won a
so
they won the Sheffield Shield today.
New South Wales are the Shield champions
for the first time in like 6 years by default, right?
Oh, not by default. We were going to win it anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
We were 12 points in front. We're going to win anyway.
Does that mean they're going to get on the sauce tomorrow or have a mad Wednesday?
Good. Well, no, they can't. Well, they will, but they'll just have to do it on their own in
they'll
isolation.
have to do it. They'll have to do it remotely, like
they'll have to join Discord and do it. We're doing.
Just do it in each house.
Just saying that they're not the only ones who've won a premiership. There's been now, I guess, with today's announcement about probably several thousand cricketers celebrating
premiership wins. Yeah,
I don't know. It's be hard to celebrate when you haven't actually had the final game, but many premiership teams have been confirmed as of today.
Yeah, that's right.
Congratulations to those that have won. But massive commiserations to teams that came second, third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth in the Premier Cricket who all of a sudden it's season over without a chance to cause an upset.
That's it. The news came out today from Cricket New South Wales that any and all cricket has basically been cancelled for the remainder of the 2019/20 season. I've got the list of Shire's premiers here. First grade, it's Auburn District Cricket Club. Second grade, Auburn District Cricket Club. Third grade, Strathfield. Fourth grade, Strathfield. Fifth grade, Balmain, South Sydney. And the Chapellow Cup, Macquarie University.
Well.
He's leading up to that. Is
that why you wanted to mention it?
Yeah, well, look, I can take absolutely no credit for it this year. I've played
nothing.
A grand total of 0 games.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if anyone's got the list there of grade winners. If not, we can read it out.
No, I reckon I could probably rattle through that. I think.
Well, Randwick Petersham were first grade.
Yeah, won first grade. Bankstown in second grade. I believe Sydney Uni won third and fourth grade, and I believe it might have been University of New South Wales may have taken out fifth grade.
And I'm pretty
universities.
Sure pretty sure that Bankstown took out the club championship as well.
Bankstown took out the club championship. Actually, I'll look it up to make sure that I'm correct on that. But I don't know if you get together and celebrate or
you
sing
can't.
the club
That's the point.
and sing the club song or whatever. So I don't know what's going on. Are there blokes getting drunk now celebrating a grand final win and ringing their bosses telling them that they're not coming in?
Let me tell you, man, it has not ever been a better time in your life, in life at all, in history, to be a video gamer. It is,
That's true.
When you're celebrating anything, is hopping on Discord or whatever, playing games with your friends. Man, it's the time to be alive.
I need to make a correction. Sorry, in fifth grade, it was North Sydney who won fifth grade.
There you
not
go.
Not University of New South Wales. They won Metro Cup.
Yes. Well, congratulations to all those clubs on your titles. I'm sure that you would have preferred to have won it by winning a grand final on the field, but the history books won't care about that in 20, 30 years.
I don't know. Aren't the immortal words of Homer Simpson that the two sweetest words in the English language are default?
But if you think about it, no different to the EPL, the way the premierships have been decided this season.
Didn't Homer also say, you tried your hardest and you failed? The lesson is never try.
Yes, he may have also said that too. I mean, he's a wonderful, really.
One of my favorites.
He's named after a great philosopher. So
when Bart tells him it's the worst day of his life, and Homer says it's the worst day of your life so far.
What? See? Exactly.
It's a great one.
I love a positive outlook like that.
Yeah.
But with the regards to the European, the football season, Serie A has obviously already been playing games behind closed doors. The situation in Italy there is dire. Formula One, they cancelled the Australian Grand Prix a lot later than that they thought they would. Bahrain,
Sunday morning.
Yeah, Bahrain and China have already been postponed. Vietnam got cancelled as well. So provisionally they're starting the season in May, but they're thinking that might even get pushed back as well after a member of the McLaren team was tested positive, and then slowly the rest of them trickled down. With the football in the Premier League there, I've heard a rumour that with the Champions League being cancelled throughout Europe as well, last year's runners-up are going to be declared this year's winners, which I think is fantastic.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
It's not going to, but I can dream.
No.
Don't take it away.
No. Tottenham will not be named winners. No, Liverpool could probably just hold on to the trophy for another.
Yeah, they got knocked out.
Such a great rivalry.
No, not really. But,
Not really.
Not
really.
between the teams, between the both.
No, just between.
we got that.
But
there's not really a rivalry when Liverpool win trophies and Tottenham are Tottenham.
Well, look, I mean, the main one that we want to win is Premier League. I mean, the talking's not. Well, I'm not sure what they're going to do with it at the moment if they don't finish. Surely far enough ahead that they could just give us a trophy.
Well,
without. I mean, there's only 8 games. There's only like 8 games left. I mean,
yeah. Surely, you might want to be.
Surely the season of domination.
It would be a travesty, an absolute travesty of justice if Liverpool didn't come away with the Premier League this year.
Yeah.
I mean, also for Manchester United fans, it'd be the funniest thing that they've ever heard of. But as a Tottenham fan, I don't subscribe to that. And I don't want to see my dad stuff a pillow onto his own face because of it. So,
oh dear, yeah. So obviously, it's not only European football. All the major American sports are on
NBA's
on hold,
canceled. Or NCAA March Madness.
That's all done. The PGA Golf is on hiatus at the moment.
Yeah,
the Masters has been postponed, so it's having a unbelievable effect. So rugby league is going ahead to down behind closed doors.
This might be the rise in validity of esports.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, see. Oh well, yes. But I mean, you get crowds for those things. People turn up to watch those guys play.
You do. The things with esports, big esports tournaments like the Dota 2 tournament last year, had tons and tons and tons of people in high prize pools, and it's definitely growing as a spectator sport too. But I mean, it's never a better time to practice.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you can practice on your own. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think Stu and I were talking about it earlier today. Just it's good to see places like here in Australia, like if everybody takes precautions and tries to isolate and practice social distancing and all that kind of stuff early, the point is, to avoid feeling like you're panicking and avoid feeling like you're being too precautious or making a bigger deal out of something. Really, you just want to try and avoid what has happened in places like Italy that are on complete lockdown. And if we take precautions now to try and keep it from spreading, that we can hopefully prevent some of that widespread stuff from happening, because a lot of people can carry it or transmit it without even
knowing about
any symptoms.
Yeah,
I saw on Twitter or something that Idris Elba, the actor, apparently was tested positive for it, and I think he remarked that he didn't even feel sick.
No.
Yeah.
So
Tom Hanks and his wife as well.
And they were in Australia, man. I got tons of messages from my American friends because Tom Hanks is beloved pretty much anywhere, but I think especially among Americans, he's been nicknamed America's Dad. And I got tons of messages from American friends.
And his main role was Forrest Gump.
His what?
His main role was Forrest Gump, and he's America's dad. No wonder Donald Trump's the president.
That's another conversation altogether.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Man.
Boy.
There's no comeback from that, really, Nick, is there?
No, it's probably a good place for us
Sadly
to wrap
not.
up our podcast. Which thank you for listening to us. If you've made it, this far into the podcast, it has been a cool experiment for us to try doing an audio-only podcast remotely, and it might open up some opportunities to have guests join us over audio in the future. Of course, we do like being in the studio and have video to show you. So,
well, maybe one day we can look at doing remote video as well, but that's another day. Let's get this experiment out of the way first. But as ever, you can send us your suggestions. Use that hashtag KSC podcast. Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports, Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, KSCpodcast.com, and any RSS feed allowing podcast program type thing.
I'm so proud of you. You've come such a long way.
I know, all in about 45 minutes as well. Stu, is there anything you'd like to add before we bugger off?
No, I don't think so. No,
Excuse the word off.
Yeah, off. Yeah. No. I think I'll think once we finish this, I think I might go and watch another episode of The Test. Which?
Is that's a documentary?
The Amazon documentary, which is we've got through 3 episodes, and it's very good. What I've learned so far is it doesn't matter if you're playing for the Australian men's Test cricket team or eighth grade in the park. Every batsman reacts the same when he gets out.
Yeah,
pretty true.
Doesn't matter. Things get thrown and spoken.
Perhaps that's inspiration for our next show. We can talk about our favourite Test matches.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, possibly, yeah.
Go. Hamish, anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Yes, I do have something to say. Goodbye.
I was waiting on some wise words.
Thanks very much for that. Producer Nick, thank you as ever.
That's it. Yeah, man. Thank you guys for and playing along with this experiment. I think it's gone pretty well. And thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate it.
No worries, and we'll see you next time for episode 39 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast. Cheerio.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers, Anne.
And no germs were spread during the making of this podcast.
I think I'll leave that in.
I'm going to put the kettle on.